Good evening, and if you're just tuning in, you were listening to the Angel Rock on 107.7 in New Orleans, Louisiana. I am your host, Lorilei Potvin. If you're returning to the show, welcome. We're so glad to have you here on United Public Radio Network, where there's something for everybody with our radio shows. If you're new here, my show, The Angel Rock, I say cover all aspects of the esoteric, the supernatural, sometimes a little bit of truth seeking thrown in there, as I like to call it. And I feature people from all walks of life, regardless of what they're doing, whether it's professionally or extracurricularly, they are making a positive change for humanity. Now, a little bit about myself, if you've never met me before, like I say, welcome. I am a Canadian clairvoyant medium, a crystal Reiki energy healer, Akashic Records practitioner, a spiritual teacher and mentor, as well as a registered nurse. And I want to remind everybody, if you are listening and you want to watch the show, please head over to the UFO Paranormal Radio YouTube channel. We also have UFO Gods and Extraterrestrials. And I believe we have, I think it's called International Radio is our third channel. Also, you can watch the show on UFO Paranormal Radio on Facebook. If you were watching on my Facebook profile, I can't see your comments until after the show. And as I always say, for those that tune in live, I love to make you part of the show. I consider you part of the Angel Rocker tribe and also UPRN family. So come on over, make yourself known if you've got a comment or a question. Now, we do have a guest booked for this evening. I'm not quite sure what's happening or where she is. I've been checking, but we had to go when you've got a show booked, especially with StreamYard and Facebook. You only have so many minutes. So again, it's an conversation. If she's not able to, for whatever reason, log in, I guess we're just going to wing it tonight. Her name is, I know her name, Alyssa Couture, and she's got a really interesting background. She's written a book called Healthy Fashion. And the thing I like about it is, so I'll just tell you a little bit about her before she gets here. Hopefully she will be here. If not, we'll have to rebook her, but she will be coming back on. It's called This is Healthy Fashion, her book. And Alyssa Couture is a fashion author and fashion entrepreneur. She feels fashion is an opportunity to attain health and healing. She claims the existence of fashion can be interpreted and experienced with a deeper purpose. Fashion as an alternative medicine for mind, body, and spirit. Her sole motive is to bring fashion into its course as a therapeutic healing tool and to awaken the consciousness of the human spirit via fashion into its transmission of divine activity for overall human well-being and ultimate planetary awakening. And I know some talking points with her book are talking about plant-based fabrics, which is interesting. She also has a psychic spirituality type background. She actually calls herself a medicinal fashion psychic. So, like I said, hopefully she'll be able to log on here and we'll be able to talk. If not, I guess we can just chit chat. Anybody's got any questions or whatever, I would love to see them, love to hear from you. I'm just going to check again, see if she's here. I don't see her. And I'm going to pop off for 1 second, guys. You're going to see me. You still be able to hear me. I just want to see if by any chance she's emailing me. Sometimes with these different time zones, we have issues. We got a lot going on in the world, though, don't we? And actually, the last time I was live, and next week, unless I pop in a guest at the last minute, I understand July the 4th is Independence Day in the United States. I forgot to mention I'm in Canada. Now, our July the 4th is actually July the 1st. And you may all well know my partner in crime. He has a show on this network on Thursday nights called The Delicious Recipe, The Dell. We do shows together, and I wasn't sure what his days off were going to be because it will be a long weekend, as we call it here in North America. Some places around the world, you may call it a bank holiday. So I didn't specifically book a guest. So if you're listening, and it doesn't matter where you're from, what you got to share, I'm going to be doing a show on the 4th, like I said, July the 4th, next Monday. depending, unless I have a guest at the last minute, we'll see. But I would love to hear your stories of the paranormal, the unusual, the weird, the strange, things that maybe you've caught on camera. Actually, if I'd known I was going to be going solo tonight, this is the last minute thing. I have some strange stuff going on, and I decided let's open the show with that. So, most of you, if you've been listening to the Angel Rock for quite some time, you know that the Dell and I lived in our previous home, probably for the last 11 plus years we lived there. We had extreme paranormal activity. I talked about it on the last solo show I did a couple weeks ago. And we shared our story on the international show with the Travel Channel called Paranormal Survivor, Season 4, Episode 9, called Demonic Hauntings. Well, ever since we left that home, and the whole neighborhood seemed to be affected. We love where we live. We've got great neighbors. There's no problem. Except we've had a few little things here and there. One thing I've been saying is I never, ever thought in a million years I'd ever discuss fairies with the Dell. He has had a great interest with his own show looking at the little people, and I'm not referring to human little people. There is legend among many of the indigenous tribes out there of little beings that I don't know if they're fairies. I'm not quite sure what they are, and I don't want to say the traditional fae. But there's quite a bit of legend and lore with indigenous tribes, depending on where you go around the world, about these little beings. Well, Dell is convinced that we have some around here. For example, I bought him a new wallet. I believe it was at Christmas he needed one. He has spent the last 3 weeks trying to find his old wallet. Oh, wait, that might be our guest. Hang on. It is Alyssa. I knew we'd be able to fill this in. Remind me if I don't fill the rest of this story in tonight, we will continue it next Monday because it's quite the story. I have some pictures that I'll upload them for you with our dog chasing something that's not there. And I took pictures, but hang on. Hang on, Alyssa. Hi, how are you? Welcome.
So sorry about the delay. I was waiting for the email. I didn't know I was going to get a Facebook link.
I did email you.
Oh, I didn't get it.
You didn't get it. I emailed you, I Facebooked you and emailed you. And I thought, you know what? I have no problem talking. I'll just keep talking. And if Alyssa's here, I already introduced you. And I said, if Alyssa's here, it might be a problem with the link. Sometimes we have those problems. But if for some reason she's not able to make it tonight, I will have her back on. I know I will. So welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you. Hey, Dave, welcome everybody for Dave in the chat here. He's over on Facebook. Dave's an astrologist, a biologist. He's been on my show before. He's a good friend. He's a good friend of the show. He asks great questions and he's in the chat. So, hey, Dave, nice to have you. Now, just so you guys know, Alyssa and I have never met before, via email, but I did introduce your book. I told you them a little bit about yourself, but I'm going to get you to sort of share, if you don't mind, because it sounds like you have some psychic background now. I'm not sure. I will let you know because I don't think we've discussed this. I am a clairvoyant medium, a crystal Reiki energy healer, Akashic Records practitioner, spiritual teacher and mentor, and nurse. So I'd love to hear a little bit about your background, like how you kind of got on this path. And I have all kinds of questions and stuff to ask you. So take it away, Alyssa.
Absolutely. Thank you again for the introduction. And like I said, I do apologize for the delay.
Oh, don't worry. No problem.
Okay. So my name is Alyssa, as Lorilei has stated, and I am a fashion author and fashion entrepreneur. And I have a campaign called Healthy Fashion Campaign. And it's all about fashion for the mind, body, and spirit. And my original work and kind of process and career was fashion retail, fashion design. I went to the University of Academy in San Francisco many years ago for fashion design. So I've had a passion for fashion for quite a long time. It's okay. And so through my work with corporate fashion retail, fashion entrepreneurial work with fashion journalism, and eco fashion branding through
Mhm.
my handmade fashion brand,
Mhm.
I sort of also have a passion with the spiritual side of things. So, as well as my work in fashion, I also have lived and worked in several ashrams and monasteries, and I have a passion for the alternative healing arts, such as yoga and meditation, and as you would say, psychic
Mhm.
fashion, intuitive fashion. I'm definitely not psychic. I'm pretty much blind to anything with psychic abilities, but I am intuitive, and I have a different form of psychic. Interpretations of what I can actually see. I do read energy, so I can read people's auras and energy body and
Mhm.
tune into that, but that a lot of these holistic metaphysical techniques I've actually sort of used as a form of inspiration for my work in fashion, because I've had a lot of interest in eco and sustainable fashion,
Mhm.
plant-based fibers, choosing to support the whole eco fashion movement. But I knew that there was something that we could sort of push fashion forward a bit. And I'm not saying I'm a pioneer in this concept. It's just a new concept, and I'm part of it. I'm part of initiating the fashion for health and wellness trend.
Mhm.
And the fashion for health and wellness trend is all about fashion and the five bodies. And I know that you'll probably ask some of these questions later on in the show, but
Mhm.
most specifically, I address fashion for mental health, fashion for physical health, fashion for spiritual health, fashion for energetic health, and fashion for the emotional health. So I kind of created a sort of a plan and a process of choosing to wear clothes and produce clothes and design clothes, and for the fashion consumer and the fashion professional to elevate fashion as a tool, a healing tool, fashion for enlightenment. And I know that based on your outfits, you kind of already get it, because you have some really great fashions. You're wearing a really
Oh,
awesome
thank you.
shirt right now. Yeah, I looked through some of your videos and saw your fashions, and I'm like, wow, she's really like stylish.
Mhm.
So like everybody already does practice fashion for health and fashion for wellness, because we always kind of choose fashion to help us in many different ways. But sort of my work and as being an educator on fashion for health is to choose to make a sort of fashion activation, to activate the consciousness of fashion, because once we are aware what fashion can do for us, then it just empowers us, and it creates it as a healing modality.
Okay, so I hear you with that. I was really interested in this, and when I say psychic abilities, most people think of well, I shouldn't classify it, but people think somebody sitting there connecting with the other side necessarily, or what have you. I like the word intuitive more because I think we all have these abilities, but just as we have somebody that may be a natural born mathematician or a natural born leader, natural born athlete, what have you. We have gifts all in different areas, right? So I love what you're saying about fashion. And one of the things I always say, my mother didn't always impart a lot of knowledge to me, or wisdom. But one of the things she taught me at a very young age was if you look good, you feel good, right? And that can embody the five bodies, like you've said. Now, the thing that concerns me, and I love the message, I was really interested in delving into this topic. A lot of people hear fashion. and they think it means extravagant money and labels. So let's go there because I don't think that that's completely what your message is. So I could be wrong. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but
No, I'm actually very budget friendly,
yes.
and I'm very practical in
Hmm.
regards to fashion, and I'm nothing like my last name. My last name is Couture, and it's
Yes.
all about, high fashion, ready to
Yes.
wear. It's the most expensive fashion you can buy.
Hmm.
And I'm quite the opposite. I have a very zen minimal wardrobe,
Hmm.
and I know down the road I will potentially evolve and have a larger wardrobe and different types of clothing.
Hmm.
And I think that there's a place for mass fashion,
Hmm.
lower budget fashion. There's a place for contemporary fashion, which is moderate budget. There's a place for ready to wear for people who have higher budgets.
Hmm.
And I think we have to balance out the hierarchy of fashion so that we can wear luxurious clothes
Hmm.
and whatever budget we have. So, and it's possible because some t-shirts out there, you think that they're, it's a $10 t-shirt made out of cotton, and how can it be luxurious? But it certainly can. If the silhouette is correct, if the color of the dye is correct, and it looks good on, it really is attractive to wear, and it feels so
Hmm.
good. It is luxurious fashion. So when you talk about low budget fashion, I definitely am for all branches of fashion, all
Hmm.
markets. But like I said, I think being able to dabble into all markets and be able to choose to purchase garments from all sectors of the fashion would be a nice. But also, too, I think for fashion for health and wellness and healing, many people would think, well, that's totally not possible for me
Right.
because I can't purchase all of those organic fashions. I can't, go online and spend hundreds of dollars on a pair of sweatpants. I was just in the mall, and I saw a really lovely pair of sweatpants, perfect fit, nice slim cut,
Hmm.
and nice fabric, $100. And I'm like,
Hmm.
it's a pair of sweatpants. So I think that when it comes to being able to choose to purchase our clothes, there's many different directions we can take. We can go to the thrift store,
Hmm.
and we can go to the department stores, say those outlets. You can find designer clothes at outlets for cheaper prices. That's a great
But what
way.
if you don't have one? Like where I live, I'm about 6 hours north of Minneapolis, Minnesota, in Canada. I'm right smack dab in the middle of Canada. 35 minutes away from the Minnesota border. We don't have outlet stores. You're only going to see an outlet store in a large city like Toronto, Calgary, lot in Southern Ontario, like where you've got the mass populaces around, you're going to see things like that. So
Yes,
and we're limited unless you
yes,
shop online. We've
yes.
got one big mall. So and before you answer that though, there's a lot of people that have no idea about fashion. They would have no idea where to go, what to do. So how does this become healing for people? Because for me, like, and I'm just going to share my experience, color, that's healing. If it puts you in a positive mood, if it makes you feel good, I really do believe if you fashion is more about, yeah, you want to look good, but also colors can really uplift the mood. But where I wanted to go with this is some people, for them, it's just being comfortable, for example. They don't care about fit. They don't care about
Yes.
price. Yeah. So how can that be healing for them or spiritually healing?
Well, everybody has a unique expression
Hmm.
of how they dress and why they dress and what they choose to wear. And, you can be extremely fashionable wearing the same outfit for 10 years straight.
Hmm.
It's how you embrace your clothing and how you can make it modern. For
Hmm.
example, Karl Lagerfeld,
Hmm.
he wore the same silhouette, the same outfit as, probably has like 30 shirts of the same
Hmm.
look, but what I'm trying to get at here is it's not about having all of the options. It's not about uh, uh, being if that's available to you, yeah, that's perfectly fine. But I think most specifically, um, having a unique relationship with your clothes is really important. Being able to sort of connect with your outfit in a unique way, however you do that, whether if you are living in a rural area, you could always go on a trip, on vacation, and go to a shopping mall or whatnot. And if not, shopping online is a great option.
Mhm.
I don't know if I got your question
I guess what I'm
correctly.
trying to ask, what I'm getting to is, why is it important? Because I know so many people that could care less about fashion. It's just about comfort. They're happy being well, you know what? I'll bring up even my son. My son, he's 24 years old, severe autism, never had a pair of pants on, never. Couldn't put them on him if I wanted to. He's happy being comfortable. I would love to dress him in really cute, fashionable clothes. He could care less. And it's not just men I've met like this, it is many women I've met. So, why is this so important? Why is it important? Is what I want to hear.
Well, it's important because there's a spiritual evolution occurring. And your son is correct. We have to dress comfortably in order
Mm-hmm.
to uh, have our clothes be therapeutic. And that's probably why he's drawn to comfortable clothes, like myself included.
Mm-hmm.
When people have any form of ailment or any kind of mood, say someone's sad, they put on a garment and they make themselves feel better.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there's a lot of different facets and directions we could take to answer your question, because it is so intricate and complex.
Sure, let's
But
go there.
but with my work, generally speaking, I'm sort of addressing the fashion industry, and I'm sort of addressing the fashion consumer that is kind of inspired by clothing and interest in clothing.
I
I
hear
don't
you.
really tap into the people that don't really care about clothes, because yeah, there's millions of people that will not read this book, and the collective fashion trends of health and wellness will still carry on, and the
Mm-hmm.
evolution, because there's so many industries, the car industry, the home decor industry. There's all different kinds of fields of industries where I don't even put my time and energy in, but where my time and energy and focus is in fashion, because I'm sort of a supporter and a spokesperson and an
I
educator
hear you.
on sort of bringing the fashion into a sense of evolution. So we're talking
Mm-hmm.
about fashion and spiritual ascension. The evolutionary planetary awakening is occurring, as you know.
Okay. So how do
we're
these two go together? I'm trying to
yeah,
to
we're
to
moving our clothing into sort of a new dimension, creating it more supernatural, more effective to help us connect with ourselves and bring us into the state of enlightenment.
Mhm.
And for example, if you look at the monks and the gurus and the shamans, they have that sacred robe and that dress and that type of silhouette and clothing that they connect with on a very spiritual level. So when we choose to tap into clothing in a very powerful way, we're
Mhm.
actually bringing ourself into a DNA activation as well. We're kind of bringing our chakras in alignment. We're kind of balancing our energy when we choose to wear specific clothes that can help us, treat us, not just therapeutically, um, but with the five bodies, bringing all of our bodies in alignment. Because when we cover our body in clothing, uh, you know, it's sort of like a band-aid. We're sort of wrapping ourselves up in like a band-aid, and
Mhm.
we're kind of soothing the wound, because we're constantly like living on this planet. This spiritual battle is occurring. There's a lot of commotion, a lot of corruption, a lot of negativity, and what I'm choosing to do and present to people is to sort of enhance our fashion and choose to use it as a vehicle, as a channel It is a powerful energy vortex. Clothing can be. And I do talk a lot about, and I know this is your show, you're all into the new age and everything. So
Well, not
I,
really. I kind of look at all aspects. I mean, I've
okay,
had people on here that deal with demonic entities. I've talked about truth seeking. I'm trying to get to the heart of where we're going with the spirituality, and I hear that it's complex. That's why I'm just listening, because I'm trying to hear your message. So carry on. It's your show. It's always about my guest.
yes. So basically, we're moving into a new sort of evolutionary way of seeing and perceiving fashion. It can be translated into an academic, scholarly study of fashion as a therapy, fashion to treat the body. And one simple example, I know Dave had just mentioned something about natural fibers. Yes, there's a new innovation called the cosmetic fabric. So a simple example of being able to treat the body medically is putting herbs and botanicals like aloe vera, neem, turmeric infused in the fabric. And then once we put it on, the treatment will
That's
actually,
what I want to hear. Okay, now
yeah,
I
the
know where you're going
treatment
with this.
the treatment will actually go through the skin and the pores and into the bloodstream. And natural fibers is a big focus in my work.
What about
Uh,
crystals? Are you guys utilizing crystals with this as well? Are you seeing that trend?
well, yes, I believe that crushing crystals into a
Hmm.
crystal powder and then putting them in a pigment and then textile
Powerful.
print dyeing the fabrics with a crushed crystal would be perfect. And crystal jewelry it is very important
I just
as
took it
well.
off because it hits my microphone all the time.
Yeah, yeah, no, I love crystal jewelry,
Mhm.
and I know that it's extremely sacred and it's powerful and it strengthens, enhances your aura. So I had actually just gotten into also sacred geometric
Love
patterns
them. Hmm.
within the crystal formations that can help connect us to the universe, really. And I have a strong passion for talking about fashion for the new age, but we can talk about talk about any kind of direction that do you want to take.
Well, no,
Uh,
but I know I'm understanding where you're going with this, and I'm seeing this because I kept thinking, well, how does this fit in with the ascension process, with the spiritual evolution that's going on? Because I'll be really honest with you, the message that we hear from various mentors, myself included, I will teach this, and I never tell somebody what to think. But to me, we are an eternal being just having a human experience here. So when you were talking about fashion, I was trying to figure this out, but I kind of get what you're saying, like with the connection with spirit, like you even visuals with the fact that you were talking about some of the crystal formations or the sacred geometry. So are you seeing that incorporated into patterns and what have you with fabrics as well? Is that where you're going with some of this?
well, I'm sort of kind of dabbling into different topics of how we can create fashion in a more improved way. And I did forget to reply to Dave. He did mention another important piece, and I'm not trying to cut you off, but he
No,
said
go. This is
all
just a
of,
conversation. So you know what? Every show, I always say to spirit before we start, okay, where are we going with the spirit? It's just a conversation. We can go anywhere with this conversation. So let's just talk.
yeah, right. So he said synthetic fibers are not good for the energy field, and I talk about that a lot in the book, Healthy Fashion, and I believe with him 100% because the synthetics are made out of fossil fuel, which is slightly acidic in nature, anyways, and it's non-breathable. I don't disrespect synthetic fabrics because I know that it's
Just
kept
not
us
ideal.
warmed. It's not ideal. It kept us warm, and it's almost not. It's very rare, but not completely possible to dress in 100% plant-based fibers when you're in, the winter seasons and whatnot. It's really challenging to sort of be 100% plant-based. So that's why when I talk about fashion for health, I'm sort of expanding on different types of theories that can sort of introduce inspiration of fashion as a way to bring more health and more wellness to people's lives. And like I said, I did address that this is something that we already do, but there's so many ways and so many different elements of fashion. I mean, we can go down to the tactility of the fabric, different textures that can prove to be healing for us, and also fabrics that are uncomfortable are an issue. So I talk about unhealthy fashion, fashion that is proving to be a hindrance to us, fashion that is slightly creating negativity and unproductivity in the day. And I've sacrificed in the name of fashion
Oh,
for,
yeah.
all sorts of times. I remember going to work in a dress and it was too tight and I fainted. But
Oh, my goodness.
and I wanted to wear that dress. I didn't care how tight it was because it was pretty and I wanted to look good. But the same thing, like if it was too tight, I shouldn't have even put it on. But a lot of times we're kind of wrestling and having this battle with our clothes. It's to certain degrees. And being able to sift through, purge, and process and sort of bring our wardrobe in to more of a comfortable way, and not just comfort, but exuding our creative expression and being able to express ourselves through our clothes. And like I said, it's extremely individual. So uh, you, for example, you like prints and textiles. Am I correct?
I like color.
Yeah.
I like with makeup. Usually, I don't always wear sparkly makeup, but I like it when I'm on air. It's easy to see. It picks up the light. The other thing with me, my fashion has evolved because I have a severe back injury. I love to wear great shoes, but I pretty well know that those have gone by the wayside. So instead, my fashion has evolved with the fact that let's still find something that looks cute, looks nice, but is practical and comfortable. Because for myself, if I'm embracing what you're saying here or trying to get the gist of it, and don't get me wrong, I love what you're saying. You wouldn't have had you on if I didn't think this is a really interesting topic. Is that and I've had this conversation with many other women, especially somebody I know loves to dress fashionably, wear high heels, and then they can't walk. And I said, listen, there's no reason in this day and age why you can't wear something beautiful that could complement your outfit absolutely without wearing 6-inch heels that you end up in bed for 3 days. And so that's what I've done. And like I said, my fashion has evolved with the fact that because of, a long time ago when I chose the name for the show, for example, and I took a couple business courses, and part of it was embracing who you are. So I connect with the archangelic realm. I love angels, ascended masters, and whatnot, high vibrational beings. I love crystals. I also love rock music. I love skulls. So I embraced it all. And that's why I have the name that I do. So a lot of times I will wear rock shows, rock t-shirts on here. It's because it's who I am. And I don't want to present a false pretense. I don't want to be on here, looking like, as I jokingly will say, the hag beast look for myself, not calling anybody else that, your hair piled up all over. And no, I want to try and put our look put together, but approachable too, because that's who I am. So I want to project who I am to other people. So I don't know how that
Yeah.
would fall in with. I like nice names and labels, but being on a pension and not by choice with a back injury, could I go out and buy designer clothes? No, but do I get creative? I say to people, thrifting is trendy right now. You can go finding incredible clothing at a thrift store, and most, you know, say 10, 15 years ago, people would say with the thrift store, oh, it's just garbage. It never sold at a garage sale. Not true. Am I right?
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. And thank you for sharing your story and everything.
Thank
I
you.
think that everyone's different and
Mm-hmm.
everyone's going to express themselves differently. And this planet, I had heard that you had mentioned on another podcast, is a school ground. It's one of the hardest planets to live on. And I
Oh,
believe
Earth as
that.
a school, you mean?
Yes, you
Mm-hmm.
had mentioned that on a podcast
Mm-hmm.
that I'd seen, and I think you are correct. I think that there's definitely some kind of battleground happening on the planet, and
Absolutely.
it's seeped into the fashion industry
Mm-hmm.
because back in the 1930s, that's when synthetics began in production. And a lot of the chemical giants like Bayer, Monsanto, DuPont, they produced all of this synthetic fashion.
Mm-hmm.
And these chemical companies are also behind the GMOs, the genetically modified foods and seeds, and the cotton. So
Mm-hmm.
they're manipulating kind of the planet in a way that is not supporting the environment, the planet, the universe, and our own
Mm-hmm.
human self.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're living in these human costumes. We're sort of trapped here,
Mm-hmm.
and we kind of need this sort of evolution within the fashion industry because it's a huge part of this planet. We all have to wear clothes. Millions of pounds of clothes go to waste every second. And
Mm-hmm.
this is a problem because polyester and synthetics don't biodegrade.
That's right.
So, with that happening, if we try to burn it, then all of the chemicals go in the air,
Mm-hmm.
and there's this big issue. So we have to get back to our ancient roots and the ancient healing methods of clothing, and that includes plant-based fabrics. And I will tell you, because it doesn't make sense when I say how we can be plant-based, but how? Because you can't produce cotton and linen alone. So basically, the fashion industry right now is creating textile experiments
Mm-hmm.
in minor, moderate, and mass levels of different types of plants for textiles, which is aloe vera,
Mm-hmm.
rami, hemp, bamboo. There's a cactus, a seaweed fiber, all sorts, hundreds of different plants will get involved around the world. So this is an effort, a planetary effort of how
Mm-hmm.
we can be more and more plant-based. And with that being said, in South America,
Mm-hmm.
uh, in history, they used 560 different types of plants for textile use.
Okay.
560 different plants for textile use. So now, with we can actually use that as a source of inspiration for our present time, because the more types of plants that we produce in our textiles, the more ecology is going to be sort of, evoked.
I
The
hear
more
you. Yep.
planetary ecology is going to be evoked. So the planet is going to be better. Less climate change is going to occur because some people have said that the oil is like the blood of the earth, and we're sucking the blood dry out of the earth when we choose to do all the fracking and steal all the oil. And with plants, they're biodegradable.
Mm-hmm.
So and we have this sacred connection with plants. There's such a thing called plant medicine. Have you heard
Very
of plant?
familiar. Very
Yes.
familiar. And I always say, come from a big pharma background, being a registered nurse. And I always say, too, I don't diagnose and I'm not telling people what to do, but for my own family, if it's not life threatening, um, what I do is I always look at an alternative natural treatment. For example, I have a cavity in one of my teeth. And a good friend of mine from Atlanta, fellow light worker, told me about this lady that is on Instagram. And she is so sick as a child. I think she lives in Texas, and nobody could heal her. Nobody could find out what was wrong with her. So she finally got fed up at college and decided she was going to find out what was going on. And she went to the ashram. She did a lot of Ayurvedic study. She did all kinds of plant medicine, you name it. She has come out with this company. Her and her husband, their hand make the products. She also channels some of the energy that she puts into these products. They are sold within minutes. Okay. I have, I think she had a Memorial Day sale. And I always know when your Memorial Day is because we had the May long weekend the week before. You guys are just like our brothers and sisters, or the owner of this network, Joe Montaldo. I'll give him a shout out. He lives in, this is actually being broadcast up in New Orleans, Louisiana. And he always says that we're just, who does he say that you guys are basically just annexing us? We're your brothers and sisters up here in Canada. My whole point of sharing this story, and it's Bliss Energetics, by the way, is this lady can't keep this stuff on the shelf. Like I said, it's her husband and her, and they just have young children. If you go on Instagram and you look at the pictures of people's before and after, and we've been told you can't, you need a dent. And I'm not knocking dentists. All I'm saying is people are healing cavities. People are healing gum recession, you name it, with these products, and they work. That's why I just went and bought a bunch, and they are working incredibly. So there you go.
Oh,
There's just one example very quickly.
yeah, I'll
Plant
check it
medicine.
out. I'm
Hmm.
always
I'll
looking
send you the
for,
link.
yes, Bliss Energetics. That sounds like a beautiful name
She
too.
does she does hair tonics, things for anxiety. Like she puts different things out at different times. It's just this little tiny locally owned business. And like I said, when you read her story and what she actually, like, she really embodies the and believes in, and I support this because when I do readings online, for example, live, and maybe somebody watches the replay and they think, holy cow, that message could have been meant for me. It was meant for you. Spirit knew you would be watching this eventually. And that's how she looks at it, that the collective or spirit knows who will be purchasing this particular batch of product. And she works very closely with it. So it's an incredible story. Yeah, check it out, guys. Because, and again, I'm not gaining anything from it. I'm just telling you about it because it works. Hmm.
Exactly. I mean, once you find a product that you're aligned with and that resonates and it works,
Well, if I don't have to get
especially
mercury in
naturally.
my mouth, like for fillings and what have you, I really believe that's what's happened. My body decided it does not want the mercury fillings I had from the age of 8. They're falling out. So, other
Nice.
ways to look and heal. Hmm.
Yes. And I'll
Hmm.
mention too, for those who are choosing implants, zirconia implants are an alternative tooth implant, and it's
Hmm.
made out of ceramic. It's like a crystal, it has qualities of
Yes.
crystal.
Hmm.
So if anyone's thinking about needing
But you
to,
have to have a dentist, and depending on where you're living, like up here in Canada, we are one of the last places to really evolve with what's been going on over the last 2 years. So travel, all kinds of things like that are not quite open to us the way they are around the world right now. So the other thing is, a lot of people think, for example, our healthcare is free. Our
yeah,
healthcare is not free. We pay for a lot of things that other places pay, like in the States. The other thing is, we are taxed at least 13% on everything. Never
yeah,
mind, you get food taxes, alcohol taxes on top of that. Say there's delivery, like you can end up paying, say, a $20 meal. It costs you $42, $45 be delivered to your house, for example. So the cost of living up here, and I know it's happening everywhere. So and I'm not knocking what you're saying in any way, shape, or form, because like I said it before you came on, Alyssa, and I said, I think when you first came on, I truly believe that if you look good, you feel good. And, a lot of people think that's where the word, I think, tricks people, is the word fashion. But what they don't realize is fashion, I think, for myself, means that you do the best that you possibly could. to present yourself, because I think that when you care about the way you present yourself, not necessarily worrying about what other people think, but how you feel, that it helps build your sense of confidence. And I think that that's one of the most important things you could wear besides a smile.
Yeah, I mean, besides a smile.
Think about
That's
it.
funny.
You could have, like, you know how you'll hear, and the other thing that I think is so important for people to embrace who they are in the moment, because you will meet people that maybe have gained a lot of weight. For example, they're feeling so horrific about themselves, and I'm never going to buy any new clothing until I get back down to that size I was, or whatever. Why? What are you waiting for? Right? It didn't take a couple days to gain the weight. It's not going to fall off in a couple days. So we need to
Yeah.
feel good about ourselves. So
Yes.
dressing yourself in
Yes.
the moment. Hmm.
Yeah, it's all about shopping therapy.
Hmm.
And being able to embrace your body weight is very important. And also choosing to find clothes that give you that
Hmm.
ease, so you
Hmm.
can gain 5 or 10 pounds and you don't have to go out and buy clothes. Because I think we have to kind of realize that everyone's going to naturally fluctuate,
Hmm.
especially with hormones and just water weight. Our
Hmm.
bodies are constantly shifting, so when we choose to buy some of those tailored structured pieces, that's good, but we also should definitely realize that having those pieces that give us that ease, that comfort,
Hmm.
and being able to allow ourselves to fluctuate in weight, whether it's, a few pounds or several.
Hmm.
I think that always having those pieces in your wardrobe that are also confidence building and give you self-esteem, because sometimes we can get in this downward spiral, this downward
See it
vortex
lots.
of the death consciousness, of the negative consciousness, and through healthy healing fashion that just you can embrace it doesn't matter what it is. It can, if it can bring you into that upward spiral,
Hmm.
that living consciousness, that's really where we want to go with our fashion. And there's just a lot of different dimensions of how we can heal our body. And in the mainstream, fashion isn't entirely used as a vehicle for health and wellness.
No, not at all.
It's just not that common. So you find, though, in there's thousands of brands already participating in plant-based fashion and the athleisure and the minimal fashion. They've even in the luxury wear departments, they've chosen to design a piece of clothing that's ergonomic. And when
Hmm.
I say ergonomic, I mean clothing that can really allow the body to move,
Move, yeah.
creativity wise, patterns and textures and silhouettes and lines and seams that can improve our mood and can help us throughout our day. And ergonomic design is something that we can use to support ourselves. And when we have all of these itchy clothing
Hmm.
and all of this unbreathable clothing that makes us sweat and itch, and when we're constantly pulling and poking and tucking and tugging and doing all of this to our clothing, we're not happy people,
Hmm.
and we're suffering.
Or
We're,
labels. That drives me crazy with
yeah.
labels, like in the back here. And then you're seeing some brands that are starting to actually print it on the
Yes.
fabric, or on the
And
side here. Drives me crazy.
yep, no, it drives me crazy too. I
Hmm.
I can't stand that itchy label. I think that I was just thinking that the other day. There's a large label on my t-shirt in the
Hmm.
side seam, and it was like 3 inches long, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I cannot not feel this right now. And it was scratching me and everything. So I think paying attention to those tiny little details do add up.
Hmm.
And I know that there's larger things larger problems on this planet than fashion. I know that, but when we think of the grand scheme of things and how we all have to participate in dressing ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
it's important. It can be
Yeah,
important.
I never thought about that till you actually mentioned that, and you are right. When you first said that, we all have to wear clothing, and then I thought, well, unless you don't choose to. And then, of course, you have these little conversations in your head, right? And then I'm thinking, yeah, but how many places realistically on this planet can you go to where, not that I would want to, but walk around naked? You can't. There are places you could go to. We need to wear clothing. So my next question I wanted to ask, or go to, is, so for somebody that's on a budget, for example, what are some of the things that they could look at? Like, let's get into this. Like, if this is where we're going with this,
Okay.
and it could be healing with the five bodies. What, men and women, children, everywhere. Where can we go with this? Like, how do we participate? Because a lot of plant-based fabrics are very expensive. They are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would say if you use conventional cotton, it's better than
Mm-hmm.
synthetic polyester. So if it's conventional or GMO cotton, I would still wear it. I
Mm-hmm.
wear conventional cotton.
Mm-hmm.
I think too that there's always about 5 to 10% plant-based apparel in most shops that you go to,
Mm-hmm.
wherever you shop. We don't have to go to specifics because I'm sure you have people watching, out of the side of the States and whatnot and outside of Canada. So anywhere you shop, there's typically at least 5% plant-based apparel.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't give you a lot of options.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where you could shop online if you want to, or you could make your own clothes. That's also an
Oh,
option.
that's an idea. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and also the thrift stores. You can hunt into the thrift stores and go through thrift stores. But I find it is a struggle and it's a challenge for me personally to go shopping because I'm picky. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't even matter. I mean, I'm super picky with the style genre. I'm picky with the silhouette. I'm picky with the fabrics. I'm picky with the colors. I mean, super, super selective.
Mm-hmm.
So most people aren't that picky,
Mm-hmm.
but I am. But I would say if you want to just hunt for your clothes, because that's really where we're at right now,
Mm-hmm.
is having to really either shop online, and there's many, many options online for alternative plant-based apparel, or shop locally, and that will sort of narrow down your options. But even so, if you're happy wearing polyester, then just wear it. There's ergonomic synthetics out there. There's fabrics that are synthetic, that are comfortable, that are breathable, that if you are happy in it, that is what's most important. And also the warmth factor. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you're in Canada, you have very strong winter seasons. You need to be warm. So we're not really even on we're not even like in that time period where we can choose to wear 100% plant-based puff coat,
Mm-hmm.
like a nice puff coat. But the alternatives are out there. There's the Capic alternative down is a nice fluff and cotton fluff, so we can
Mm-hmm.
quilt. We can use cotton batting and quilting to
Mm-hmm.
insulate our jackets. So the options are out there. It's just not as common, but the innovations are really improving quite quickly. And we're kind of starting. We're starting this new plant-based apparel thing. But I would say too, if you want to shop on a budget, uh, go to the thrift stores, or
Mm-hmm.
you can go to your local retail shops, and you might have to put in some time to read the labels. But if you see something that's like partially cotton, partially synthetic, like a blend,
Mm-hmm.
that's better. That's better than doing the full synthetic. But the underlayers, the undergarments, if you wear cotton on your undergarments and your first layers, that's most important. And then, the second and third layers, if they're made out of polyester and they're quite loose,
Mm-hmm.
that could also be helpful, because polyester, if it's loose enough, it still traps in the heat, so it's giving that warmth, but it's not like, sealing in sweat and everything.
Hmm. Yeah, see now for example, where I do live, you can go anywhere down to -50 with the wind chill. But in the summertime, we can get up to like 110 degrees with the humidity. So we've got quite the gamut, if you will, of temperatures here. But I guess what's sort of on my mind with this is too. So you've got somebody that is understanding this message that we're talking about, but I meet so many people. And again, like I said earlier, just some people are natural born musicians or athletes or leaders. Some people are just natural fashion people. They know what looks good together, what doesn't look together, what colors do. But say you've got people that want to be able to do that. They want to look put together. Because to me, still, like we're looking at the fabrics, I'm a real big proponent of color therapy. I think that you know, people naturally look good in some colors. And again, I think if, you're out and about and you've got a bunch of people saying to you, oh my God, that color looks fabulous on you. Most people will think, I'll have to pick up something else with that color. Right. So where do people go is what I'm saying with this. Say there's people that really do want to improve their look or improve what they want to wear or how put together they are, or they're on a budget like we talked about earlier, and maybe they're only able to buy a few pieces, but they want to be able to make that go a long way, if you will, with a bunch of other different pieces. How do they do that? Where do they go?
Sure. Well, I will mention too, if you're not stylish, or if you want to improve your fashion, don't be offended with yourself, because there are fashion professionals that cannot dress. There are fashion
Mhm.
designers. There are fashion designers out there that are incredible designers. They are fashion geniuses, but they can't put a look together for themselves. They
Or
wear t-shirt.
stylists,
Yeah,
stylists that look
yeah.
that
No,
put great
they'll wear
outfits out.
t-shirts and jeans, and
Mhm.
that's all they can do. That's all they can
Mhm.
do. So even if people are in the fashion industry, don't think that they all can dress, because
Mhm.
they can't.
I'm always
And
amazed at a hairdresser, for example. And again, I'm not judging or pointing a finger, but to me, your hair is your sales card, right? Like if you're a
yes,
hairdresser, you want to have fabulous hair. And
yeah,
most people know you don't do your own hair, but you would go to somebody else. But it's the same thing with stylists. Like I can't tell
yeah,
you how many stylists I've seen, like you said, running around in a ragged old t-shirt and jeans.
yeah,
Sure, you want to be comfortable, but you're styling people for your
yeah.
business. Like
Oh yeah, no, it's hilarious. And two, I would say that if you do want to, improve with your styling and everything, fashion
Mhm.
magazines are really effective and helpful, as
Mhm.
well as there's style consultants.
Mhm.
There's also sustainable fashion stylists, which is kind of
Mhm.
fun. So you could seek a consultant, you could seek the fashion magazines, you could also watch the highly inspiring ready to wear collections 4 times a year. The ready to wear shows in New York, Milan, Paris, London, Tokyo. I think there's even one in San Francisco and the smaller areas. British Vancouver has a sustainable eco fashion week, so we can gain
Mhm.
inspiration from these inspiring creative ready to wear collections. As well as the fashion magazines and um, the movies, the film
Mhm.
industry, and the collective trends happening within some of the mass market retailers or contemporary retailers.
Mhm.
But improving the wardrobe is an evolution. It's wherever people are and however they want to be. And I would say too, some people are much more freer about their clothes. They have some people don't have all these cords. A lot of people are corded down. They're in this sort of block, with their outfits, and they have a block. And some people really can choose like magnetism. They can really have this energetic force with their clothing. So we can actually create spells. Fashion is very spell casting. Fashion can be a spell caster in a way.
Okay,
A
so let's
white
hear more about that.
Yeah, well, I would say too that I would say not occult,
Hmm.
black spells, but
Right,
white spells, angelic spells, because truly, when we're
right.
walking down a road, or in downtown in the city, and we
Hmm.
see what other people are wearing, and we see what we're wearing,
Right.
when people are watching us in our wardrobe and seeing
Hmm.
what we look like, we can actually help other people.
Right.
We can actually help other people and enhance other people's health, just by what we wear. So fashion can be a responsibility to help inspire and
Hmm.
influence other people, just by
Excuse me.
walking down the street and wearing a nice outfit with, say, a cool color or an interesting symbol,
Right.
or whatnot. But fashion really can be a tool to channel. Fashion can be a tool to um, cast white spells,
Hmm.
connect with our spirit guides and our angelic realms. And what you had said, the ascended masters, we can really attract some of those light beings and the light bearers of the world through our dress. And there's
Hmm.
no code. I don't present any style code. I think that there's hundreds of different style genres that we can all appreciate and understand. And I apologize if I'm sounding a little defensive with how I'm speaking,
Okay, I didn't think
but
you did, but I hope you don't
okay.
feel that way.
No, I don't know. So I sometimes I do, I might be trying to clarify something to you
I
and
didn't pick that
may
up
come
at
off.
all. I'm very interested. I'm hearing what
Oh,
you're
okay.
saying.
Yeah. So basically, I find that fashion can be supernatural. And when you speak of, have you spoken with, with any of the paranormal? Aren't you connected with like the paranormal industry a little bit?
Yeah, what happened was when I was filling in the time when I was with the link that had happened, and that was my fault. I got to find out where that email went because I emailed you because I remember you wanted me to email you. So I thought, well, just in case you see it on Messenger, and I did email it. I don't know why it didn't come through, and I'm so sorry. But anyways,
No,
here
it's
you are.
okay.
So
So yeah.
yes, we're on season 4, episode 9. It's called Demonic Hauntings on Paranormal Survivor. We've shared our personal story of living in a extremely haunted, dangerous house for 11 plus years. We've moved since then, but yes, so I'm very involved with the paranormal.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I mean, I can't really compete with
Oh, you
that.
don't have to compete. It's no big deal.
I've lived with ghosts.
Hmm.
I grew up when I was a child. I had ghost problem. There was
Oh,
a couple ghosts in one house, and there was a ghost in another house, and they were tormenting me.
oh, I'm so sorry.
I could feel them touching me, and it was creepy. So, but I
Okay.
would be interested and intrigued in hearing some of your experiences with haunting houses, and I'm so glad you got out.
Well, it wasn't by choice. I lost everything. But you know what? Somebody, that's
Oh,
okay because uh I'm a real believer in what we believe or what we perceive becomes what we believe and it becomes our reality. And I work with somebody by the name of Augie Noss, Nori Love from time to time. They have something called the mastermind where they believe that more than when two or more minds are focused on the same thing, it exponentially increases the manifestation power of something. And I was talking to them. I was looking for a place. There was no occupancy when this happened. It was right after January. This affected the whole neighborhood. Like it was just crazy. The neighbors became very, very vindictive, evil. Like this is a crazy story. I'm writing a book about it. I'm actually writing 3 books, but we had a neighbor that used to stand on our front lawn, and his daughter used to babysit for us. We never had a problem with them. He knew my ex's parents, because it was my ex's house that we were living in. My marriage broke up while this was going on, and then we moved forward. Anyways, he would stand on our front lawn, and we had security cameras, and he'd measure our grass. And if it was like 1/100th of an inch over the legal limit, he would be calling the bylaw officer. Like, it's just crazy stuff that people were never acting like this. My partner now has lived in that house where the bulk of the stuff happened. He's been thrown 15 feet across the kitchen. Bites, scratches, burns. This all started with a dream. Something told me it was demonic, told me its name, spelt it for me, told me its animal form. I was raised Roman Catholic and made to go to Catholic school. Never heard this name. Found it 10 years later. Everything I had been told was exactly right there on paper. And all hell broke loose in the house. It was crazy. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's quite a story. You should
Mm-hmm.
definitely put it on paper and publish
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah, well,
That's for sure.
I have tons of pictures. I have video. I have EVPs of people that have experienced it in our house besides ourselves. Like, it was a crazy story. So that's why I was really interested getting back to your book about this, because, I really believe that we are going through a massive change, if you will. People are saying, oh my God, it's the apocalypse. Well, I believe the word the apocalypse or apocalypse means revealing which was once hidden. So I believe there's a lot coming to the surface, but because of collectively, globally, we've got some real negative emotions. We've got fear, we've got sadness, depression, anger, division. We're seeing a lot more paranormal. So even, when we're talking about fashion and clothing as being something that's healing, never mind physically protective, it would be wonderful to be able to find some pieces that were also spiritually collective. That's why we're so interested in hearing about, say, crystals and symbols and patterns and things like that.
Yeah. I'm
Mm-hmm.
wearing this cross of Christ,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a circle around it, like it's
Uh-huh.
protecting
I love it.
the cross.
Right.
And I just got this from Hannah Kroger shop, and
Mm-hmm.
I was kept away from the cross my whole life.
Mm-hmm. Oh, were
And
you?
yeah, I have a little bit of a strange story, but basically, you must know much more than me. Especially being a psychic,
Mm-hmm.
some people are blind and some people are blind, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm blind. And I believe that there is a second coming of Christ happening, and there is some kind of planetary shift. And with that happening, the whole planet and every single industries really has to evolve.
Mm-hmm.
That's really where we're heading. And I have had my own um, paranormal experience.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing that I could really approach or tell you
Mm-hmm.
right now.
That's perfectly
Yeah.
okay. Mm-hmm.
But what you went through, I mean, that's intense, and that shows that you're very strong
Well,
because you,
I think it happened though, Alyssa, because I had no interest in the paranormal. I believed in it, working in palliative care. I'd seen that's my third book I'm writing right now, first responders, but mostly nurses, the incredible things we witness at the end of life as somebody transitions, as I call it, going back home, if you will. And I've
yeah,
studied near-death experiences for 40 years. So I believe I've had one as well as a toddler. So, the things that you see and the things that we witness, there's definitely something else to all of this, right? What's going on,
yes,
what's around us. And I agree with you that everything is evolving. That's where I was going with the apocalypse, right? I think that truth is coming to the surface. And with truth coming to the surface, it's like taking the cork off of Pandora's. I know it wasn't a bottle, it was a box, but taking it off the bottle. And once you take that bottle off, or the cork off, you can't put it back on. So the
yeah,
only place you can go is to move forward. And
yes,
so when we're talking about clothing, when we're talking about this, I do believe we're in for a major shift and a change.
yes,
Some people believe that Christ is returning. I'm not a big Bible scholar.
yeah,
My partner knows more about it than I do. But, it's prophesized that we will be having the Antichrist coming first before the return. And then you get others that believe in is, the return of Christ really Christ consciousness. So there's many things. What I always say is it's not my job to judge. I love to hear people's thoughts on topics and share where they're coming from, where their thought process is, because I really do believe we all are a part of each other. So we've
Yeah.
all got something to contribute.
Yeah, well, there's millions of different people. There's billions of different people, and there's billions of different experiences. So your experience is not my experience, and
Exactly.
you have a podcast show. You can't possibly believe everything that people are saying. Or resonate with it. That's impossible. So I would never.
Open.
Yes, and that's a good
open.
thing, and that's why you have a podcast show, because you're open. But I do believe you are correct. The Antichrist is here. They've said that planet Earth is Satan's kingdom. They say that planet Earth has been in a form of rulership with Satan, and that, like I said, I'm not quite new about this information because apart from fashion, I'm an energy healer. And I work with the energies. I work with the Ascended Masters. I work with the energy vortexes on the planet. I visit and travel to different vortexes.
I love it.
I'm a channel. So that to me is more important than anything, because if
then
we don't
let's talk about this stuff, because I was hoping we were going to go there, because I was reading about energy vortices. One of the ones you admit, I actually I've been starting to print up the write-ups that Gavin Lee Davies sends me when he sends me fantastic authors like yourself, because there's so much valuable information in here. And
yes,
energy healing. Yes, I do energy healing myself. This crystal, for example, it's a Super 7. Thunder Bay, where I live, is well known for Super 7s. And I think it's Amazonite we have. There's natural stone here. So I use this stone in particular when I'm doing distance healing and chakra work and things like that. There's two, I don't know if people would be able to see it. I haven't got my glasses on. It has a name. It had to tell us its name in my Crystal Reiki Master course, but I'll see if you can see it. It's not that
beautiful.
bright. Okay, but when I work with this with red or with healing, this glows hot and red. And for some reason, this particular crystal is very good at relieving pain for people, like severe, severe pain.
I believe you.
So you go all over. You've talked about you've been to ashrams and stuff. I'd love to hear more about that.
I traveled quite a bit in the West Coast. I went to Crater Lake, Mount Shasta, Joshua Tree, Monterey Bay, Crestone, Colorado, Sedona, Arizona. I've been to
I want to go there so bad.
Yeah, I've been to dozens of different energy vortices, and what I had recently learned, a different way of approaching an energy vortex. It is a swirling energy. It's a power center. It's like visiting a nuclear power plant.
Right.
You feel that energy, and it's just this buzzing, swirling energy. And what it really does is it's connecting you straight up into the universe. It's connecting you with higher beings. And there's a crystalline. Have you heard of the crystalline grid? The crystalline grid on the planet?
Absolutely.
Basically, you know what I'm talking about. It's deactivated to a degree by the Antichrist. And what we have to do as light bearers on Earth is reactivate. Oh, have you visited the Hopi Reservation? I've heard of it, and no, I haven't, and it sounds amazing. Thank you for still listening to the show.
People listening. Like you're going to see on Facebook that YouTube, we're trying to build it up. So remember, everybody, I always forget to remind them, if you're listening or you're watching after, please share this, and don't forget to like, please, because we're trying to build up YouTube. But for example, if you go over to SoundCloud, you won't believe how many views there are on my partner Dell and I, who has a delicious recipe, not a cooking show, but he just about fell off his chair. So anywhere where talk radio or podcasts are carried, these shows are carried. So I understand. I haven't checked with Joe in a while, but I think the last time I talked to him, we had over 500,000 people watching live in over 160,000 countries, or 160. We don't have 160,000 countries, so we've got people
Ooh.
from all over. So
Well,
that's why
you're
it might seem.
popular.
No, no. Well, we've got a big network. We have to thank
Yeah.
Joe because he's been doing this for many years and he knows what he's doing. And I'm so grateful to be a part of this. So that's why if I've been digging at things a little bit, like this isn't just going to North America. This is all over the world. People are trying to hear this. So that's why I was kind
Nice.
of digging a little bit so people could
Yeah.
understand.
Well,
So
congratulations.
oh, well, thank you. Well, there's people with much bigger shows than mine on this network, but the beautiful thing is there's something for everybody on this
Yes.
network.
Yes.
It's a great group of people. I've been here 3 years in July and I love it. Love it, love it, love it.
Well, it's
Now,
about quality too. You could
mhm.
be a lot of the listeners that you're listening or could be very powerful people.
Well,
So if you have a certain level of quantity and quality,
mhm.
then you're all set. You just need the powerful people listening.
I guess, but you know why I do this is because I really do love people. And like when you said, I'm sure you can't agree with everything that everybody says on your show. I always say just because I haven't heard of it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist or I haven't experienced it either. So I like to hear people's experiences, their stories. That's why we probably would have had a little bit of this conversation, not much, but a little bit before. But that's why I have people on. I may never have met you before till like tonight, but I love to talk to people. I like to hear what they're thinking, where they're coming from, what their experiences are. And like Dave just said, I like the variety of this conversation. I meant to give Debbie Grasberger Schmoly a shout out. Hi, Debbie. I'm so sorry missed you. We were right in the middle of conversation there. I like to involve people in the chat because I hate when I go to a live and I'm not trying to sound egotistical, but if the chat's not flying by and they're having a really interesting conversation and I've got a question and they never look at the chat, it's like, okay, why am I here? Am I supposed to
Yeah.
be a fly on the
Yeah.
wall? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, you're a
Mhm.
great podcast host,
Oh, well,
radio
thank
host, excuse
you.
me.
Well, thank you. So how did you get into healing work? Like it was interesting that you said you weren't psychic, but to
Yeah.
me, intuitiveness and psychic, it's just a title. It's a semantics of words. I believe every human being how many people have you heard say, well, I just trust my gut. I don't know why I know, but I trust my gut. That's
Yes.
intuition.
Well, I had a series of events where I had finally revisited Mount Shasta. And
Okay.
Mount Shasta is a vortex up in North California. And my first experience there, I went and started crying nonstop. I
Oh,
had this
wow.
extreme release and I felt very loved, and there was all this love surrounding me, and it was a very powerful experience. So I ended up going back to Mount Shasta and finding out that I was getting some tune-ups, some attunements, some
Mm-hmm.
spiritual
Yep.
activations were occurring, and that's when I got connected with being able to write this book, which was, I don't really say this too much, but it's part channeled. I mean, anything that
I love
anyone writes,
it.
yeah, anyone that anything writes is part channeled to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have a background in writing, so it is it is my language and my
Mm-hmm.
communication. So yes, visiting these vortexes, especially Mount Shasta, really got me more interested in having spirit guides, uh,
Mm-hmm.
getting into the Ascended Master teachings, the I Am, the Violet Flame, and
Saint Germain.
yes, Saint Germain, yes.
Yes.
And when I went to these vortexes, I felt such incredible surge of energy, and I felt extreme happiness. When you go to visit an energy vortex, there's whether it can be as simple as a mountaintop or a
Mm-hmm.
lake or a body of water. When you visit these forms of land with very high energy, your body and mind begins to shift. And
Mm-hmm.
I've been in the dark for most of my life. I've been sort of in a cloud. For
Mm-hmm.
many, many years, I was sort of in the dark, in a cloud. And what really opened me up to the universe was the energy vortexes. And other people will call them, what do they call them?
Sometimes I've heard them called earth chakras.
Yeah, the earth chakras,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever it is, these you'll have a special experience no matter what when you visit these vortexes. And I really wanted to bring in this vortex energy and these healing experiences and channel it through the book and really talk
Mm-hmm.
about these new age experiences and how it can be evoked through fashion. And with my passion for fashion, um, it's just complementary to my work as an energy healer. And
Mm-hmm.
right now, I am focused on activating the crystalline grid on the planet,
Okay.
activating the crystalline grid, which is connected to these specific vortex centers around the planet. And I think that is basically the most important work, because if the crystalline earth grid does not activate, there will be no second coming of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And we will be trapped on this planet, and it will be a very nasty place. It'll just be the new second coming war. But that's my belief. That may not be other people's.
No, but you know what? You know who's an interesting person from history that first opened me up to these experiences, that where I was going with the paranormal was that I never planned on doing what I'm doing now, but because of what we experienced, I say no, I wouldn't wish it on a blade of grass. But am I angry with it? No, because I would not be doing what I'm doing now, nor have discovered the gifts that I have had I not gone through what I did. I
Yeah.
want to give one shout out, and I was going to mention Dolores Cannon, but hey, Justin K says, yep, we're from all around the planet and clock. It's 1:23 a.m. here. Justin, I think you're over in, I want to say Norway, Sweden. But yeah, we have people from all over that are on here. We have guests from all over too, all over the world.
Oh,
So
that's exciting.
yeah, what I was going to say though, okay, so Dolores Cannon, because when this first started, I had no idea what was going on. One of us had to, Dell, my partner, almost died. It's covered in our episode. One of us had to stay awake all night long to watch the two, well, they were teenage boys, and Dell or one of us had to stay awake to make sure everybody was safe. But anyway, so I was researching. It became like a 12 to 18 hour a day job trying to find answers and starting locally, radiating out till it became global, and looking at various teachings and mentors and seeing if there was anything that resonated. But what really resonated with me was Dolores Cannon, because she was very emphatic when she was alive that she was not a psychic, but her and her deceased husband, when she was doing this talk already, was talking about going into levels of the brain that were taboo at the time in the 60s and working in those levels, and then connecting. Have you connected with any of Dolores Cannon's work at all?
No, I have not.
Oh wow, it's gonna blow your mind, girl. So,
Okay.
anyways, she has some books out there about connecting. Like she said, it goes so far back that people that would know what a pen is, she would regress them back through hypnosis, and they will go so far back that they were a different person, different name, had no idea what even a pen was or glass in a window. And she connected with somebody that Nostradamus was coming through. She has quite a bit of information.
Wow.
Jesus Christ. There was all kinds of stuff. And she talks about this exactly what you're talking about, the earth, about Earth 1 and Earth 2, that they'll be right next to each other, those that choose to ascend versus those that do what they're going to do. And I'm putting this very briefly. Fascinating information, that she's no longer alive.
Oh,
But
okay.
the thing is, her daughter's carrying on her work, but she's not psychic. And she said she's not psychic. And she did quite a few talks. They're on YouTube. I'll try and remember to send it to you after the show, or if anybody else is interested, I'll leave it in the comments. But just fascinating work. And
Nice.
again, she didn't channel it. She would regress somebody into hypnosis and connect this way. Again, you can choose to believe it or not. Same as with the vortices you were talking about. I had to mention My partner Dell's family, has a camp on this lake called Oliver Lake. It's about 30 minutes away from our home, and it could be pouring rain here, pouring rain where we are. We're on the north side of the city. You drive to Oliver Lake, it could be 20 degrees hotter, sunshine. It's in a basin. It's one of the largest freshwater spring-fed lakes in northern Ontario,
Ooh.
and very deep, well over 200 feet deep. But there's a public beach, and on the side we're on, there's very little internet. As you turn down past the beach, I swear to God to you, Alyssa, the energy completely changes. It is
Yeah.
so peaceful, calm, zen. I know you'll understand. No, I believe there probably is some type of vortex there, and Dell will tell you the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just mind blowing.
Well,
Absolutely.
it's a place where you want to keep visiting too, because
Yes.
you're gonna pick up on those frequencies, and uh, a lot of these energy vortexes are controlled by cults to try to
Mm-hmm.
keep people away from the
Mm-hmm.
vortexes too. There's there's some satanic cults that will sort of hoard the energy too.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard all kinds of stories, and basically, what's most important, I believe, is this type of energy that you find in the energy vortex is going to be spread throughout the planet once the crystalline earth grid activates. And Diane Robbins, she talks a little bit about the crystalline earth grid. She's a author from Mount Shasta.
Mm-hmm.
And this type of information, is it exposed? Well, not everybody is really allowed to even know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about. Oh, and a lot of people aren't invited. I wasn't invited until I was in my late 30s.
Mm-hmm.
But the planet is waking up, and this is a fun time to be on this planet, but it's also a very hard time. So for those who are suffering, we're being warriors, and we're being in service for the ultimate planetary awakening.
I hear.
That's my impression.
No, but I agree with you. Listen, I can't plug in. I'm going to try my Bluetooth headphones. If I lose you for 1 second, just hang there for a second
Yeah.
because I will be right back. But I want to try these because I don't want my bat. It usually lasts. I can't hear without headphones. So let's see if these will work.
Yeah, no problem.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah, I can.
It's not going to let me use my headphones. It's decided I can't. So if I have to sit up close, I don't know what it is with the iPhone 12, but it will not. It literally sounds like the audio is like a decibel one. So we'll see what happens. So just in case that when I said where he was from, he said close. I'm on Sealand Island, Denmark, just across the bridge from Sweden, and exactly
Wow.
down the Earth. Now that's interesting.
What did he say?
He said that he is, hang on, I'll highlight it for you. Or it says, I guess that I thought he was in Norway. He said, close, I'm on Sealand Island, Denmark, just across the bridge from Sweden and exactly down the center of the earth.
Oh my, that's impressive.
Yeah.
That's quite impressive. Wow. Sounds
You know what
beautiful
I did
too.
want to ask?
Sealand Island. Sounds like a
Yeah,
beautiful
he
place.
has, if I'm not mistaken, he has a really interesting job. It's either him or somebody else because he pops in every now and then. Like I said, it's late there, and we get some interesting information from over on that side of the pond. But what I wanted to ask you, we haven't got a lot of time left because it's already we got probably about 20 minutes left. But I
Okay.
wanted to ask you, so what can people do if people feel like they really resonate with this? And I think there will be quite a few people with activating the crystalline grid. What's your
Yes.
thoughts on that? Like, how can people participate and help that?
Well, if you visit the energy vortexes, you'll be connected with your spirit guide subconsciously or consciously. And either way, you'd be quite like a puppet. You'd be like a puppet for God. You do things to help usher in the energies and be a channel. And it, it can go both ways. You might not be allowed to know what's going on, what you're doing to help, or you might be allowed to know bits and pieces. And lots of times they shut your memory down and they don't let you know what you're doing because it's safer that way. And why I say it's safer that way is because there's a lot of crime and murder, and there's a lot of people that are doing their best and mighty to bring down the light bearers on earth. There's all of those whistleblowers that are getting murdered. All the whistleblowers that are getting murdered. And the reason why they're getting murdered is because they're doing things for God and not for Satan. And that's the big issue on this planet, is this crazy war. And that's partially why fashion isn't advanced. That's partially why this isn't really an advanced planet, is because more people are interested in destruction. More people are interested in pollution and negativity and crime and suffering. And where we're heading, though, is not quite that. We're headed into the golden age, and it's the most inspiring thing, and it gives me hope to stay alive and to be a part of that.
Yeah, Dave Petrella, who's in the comments here, he talks about that quite a bit, and I agree with you. But I also feel, because this is part of what I do also behind the scenes, is a lot of truth seeking and connecting with people in many different groups, sharing information and what have you, is that I think about 30% of the population is under something called mass formation psychosis or hypnosis. So I don't, whether they want to know or they don't want to know, or subconsciously they're going along with the narrative, right? What they believe in front of their face is what the truth is where they're going.
Yeah.
Then there are those that are awake, I believe, that know what's going on, know what the truth is, or what their version of the truth, or what they believe to be true. And then we have about 40, I would say that's about 30%. And we have about 40% that are sort of teetering at the top of this fence. Now we have a lot of stuff coming out of the woodwork too. Like we have it's called Guardians of the Looking Glass. I don't know if you've heard of them. That has been, so many people have sent me that in the last 2 weeks. I'm a little torn about that because they're looking for the light workers of the world to send your information in to them to sign up. That doesn't make me feel good about that. And then I've recently discovered the Light Society with Jason Shurka. Somebody has sent me, so I've been looking into that a little bit. Now that sounds kind of like it's focusing more on light and love and the ascension. But again, I'm on the fence with a lot of these things. I'm not a skeptic.
Yeah.
But I try to go in with an open mind, but I need more information.
Well, what I like to do is I'll show you. I use the pendulum, and it will go clockwise without me moving it, and that will be a yes. If I have a question about something, it'll be yes. And it's like thy rod and thy staff in the Bible. The pendulum is biblical. It's not occult or evil, but it gives you the answers, and you can actually use a necklace or an actual pendulum to get those answers of what you're looking for. If you don't trust the Light Society, the pendulum can help, and you can use anything.
There's a problem with that.
Yeah.
You can use your body as a pendulum. I can
Yes.
control a pendulum. I will show
Oh, there.
you.
Okay. So
I'm
you.
gonna make
Okay. So right. You. So
I'm
you
gonna
know
make
about
it
the
go back
pendulum.
and forth.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna
You know
ask
the
it to
pendulum.
stop. I'm gonna ask it to turn counterclockwise. So for me, a pendulum, especially if it's something that I have a vested interest or for myself,
Yeah.
is not a good reliable instrument. Using my body is like if I'm
Okay.
asking, say, in a store, what
Yeah.
vitamin or clothing or material or what have
Yeah.
you,
Mm-hmm.
but not with a pendulum. But I do
Well.
use
Yeah.
pendulums in my crystal Reiki. Like I do all my chakra checking, aura
Mm-hmm.
balancing, aura healing, cleansing, whatever, all
Yes.
distance wise. Mm-hmm.
Well, you can use the two fingers too, and if you asked a question, you loop your two
The
fingers
muscle
together.
testing.
The muscle testing, I use the pendulum. You have to practice and you have to be really in tune and connected with the higher self. If you're not in tune and connected
Mm-hmm.
with the higher self, it won't work. And sometimes there's interference. Sometimes there will be negative influences that try to attempt to manipulate the pendulum. So, yes, there's definitely some issues with using the pendulum, but most importantly, if you're connected with your higher self and you're doing the prayer and meditation to God and everything, and you're cleared, your aura is cleared, then you
Mm-hmm.
will have an easier time with the pendulum. So,
I
like I
still
said,
like to teach people when I'm showing people a pendulum though is how to protect their energy. You touched on that, but that's very important because the Ouija board is a tool. Collectively and energetically, there's a lot of negativity, but I always tell the story of, say somebody heard that a chainsaw was great for cutting down a chain link fence. Somehow got to the hardware store, they found one, they bought one, didn't open the instructions, but got it running. Somehow, some way, they go to the chain link fence to cut the chain link fence. They're absolutely astounded when it kicks back and cuts their arm off. No, is the chain link to or the chainsaw to blame? No, it's just a tool. But to educate yourself about how to use the tool, the safety precautions, and what have you, is there something to be afraid of or that it's a cult? No, I don't believe so either. But I think we have to educate ourselves when we're working with tools like this. I don't because like you said,
yeah,
outside influences, there's all kinds of things
there.
we can
Yes,
do.
you have to be solely supported with your higher self, and
Absolutely.
you have to have a pure soul. You know, you can't have entities within your aura attached to you. Yeah, there's lots of things that can manipulate the pendulum. So yes, I would say what you do have to be forewarned that it may not be 100% accurate at all times,
Mhm.
and sometimes it may take some practice as well. Yeah.
Like I said, for me, it's just when I have a vested interest in it. But I have been working with energy for years. Like I said, I do my energy work distance wise. I can send energy like you probably can do very far. So I know how to manipulate energy. Could I,
Yeah.
but like I said, I use these all the time with chakra checking and stuff, but it's not for me. It's for my clients. So
Yeah.
I don't have a vested interest in the outcome. So they're
Yes.
very accurate.
Right. They're very accurate. And I will also mention, too, the pendulum is not necessarily prophecy. It's really for asking like yes or no questions that will, in the moment. So if you choose to ask it questions that higher self doesn't want you to know, you're not going to get the answer. So
That's
that
why I
too,
have a maybe. I have a maybe, or
yeah.
sometimes I'll teach people how to draw a clock with the letters. It'll spell stuff out.
Yes.
But if you get a maybe or it just kind of sits there and wiggles, exactly, you're not meant to know, or it hasn't really been decided yet either, right? It
Yes.
could go either way.
Yes. Absolutely. Yep.
So Justin says, my ex is educated in law, but her heart beats for spirituality and shamanism. I gave her a pendulum and a tarot deck as a goodbye present. That was a beautiful thing that you did, I think, Justin. I don't know. I just feel like it almost said, follow your dreams. I don't know. What do you think?
Um, Yeah, I would say it's a perfect gift for a goodbye present, and
Yeah.
he's being very nice and friendly, and that's a spirit guide. You're acting like a spirit guide to your friend by supporting him like that.
Well,
That's very nice.
his ex, like an
Oh, okay.
ex-partner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think, like, I think that would be a pretty thoughtful gift, because who knows you better than your partner, right? And even though it may not have worked out for the two of you, or like I like to say, maybe your contract with each other was completed in this lifetime together, you still, to me, you knew what her heart's desire was, and as a parting gift, you presented her with that. I think that's a beautiful thing. Just my thoughts, but pretty cool.
Yeah, kindred friends. They'll stay friends that way.
Hmm.
Good
Well,
friends.
and again, I always say I don't know everything, and I love that you had added this as well tonight on this show, that that's just how I feel, or these are my thoughts. And I think that's important for people to realize, because I also say to people when I'm working with them that it's, I feel, and they've got to do what they've got to do to follow their heart. But I always say, I don't think there's any harm in working with many different mentors or teachers, because then you get to kind of pick the little pieces that work for the person, the student, if you will, that resonate with them, and then make it all into who you are, what you're meant to be doing on this in this lifetime, right?
Yeah. Yeah, right now there's a rapid evolution happening, and we're in a really exciting time, and being able to connect with different mentors and different podcast shows uh, like
Mhm.
yours are very important, because you're sort of consuming all sorts of information, and whatever resonates you can listen to, and what doesn't resonate, it you can just say goodbye to it.
Yeah, but
It's
that's what I tell people. I don't find the time now. I'm launching a second business, making resin, like spirituality pieces, as well as pretty well anything you could think of. I could probably make it. But so I've been super busy. But when I do find the time, like next Monday, guys, I'm going to remind you, we don't have a guest unless I decide to book somebody at the last minute. But I wanted to hear people's stories of the paranormal. I'll keep your identity secret if you'd like, but if you want to share it, I'm happy to share it. But the whole reason I meant like this roundabout way is, when I do readings for the public, and it's just a free one question reading, what have you, I always say to people too, take what resonates with you and leave the rest. Because a lot of the stuff that will come through, I find it may be meant for the future as well.
Yes, it might resonate in the future. People have to experience certain things in order for it to be beneficial for them. Yes, I agree.
Well, I'm not a person that likes to read the future. So if somebody asks me what's going to happen in the future, and I am given some information, I always say as it is in this moment. But, depending how deep you go, right? And I believe this, time, past, present, future. Well, time's man-made, but past, present, future all happening at once. And I really believe we've got multiple timelines, right? So just depends what version you get shown, I believe. So
Well, you know more than me. I know for sure that you have more information than I do.
no, don't look at it that way. You have different information, and I believe, like, I
Well,
think you touched on this, that
my third eye is deactivated. Most
because you believe that.
well, most of it's deactivated. It may be happening and occurring, but I can't. I am. It's blocked. I don't. I believe it's blocked because it's supposed to be, apparently, but you probably
Because
do know
somebody
a
told
few
you
things that
that.
I don't. I'm because, well, based on your work, you have to know things that other people don't know. Based on your
I don't
work.
know. Like I said this earlier in the show, and I forget it myself too, and I have to remind myself, okay? But I think that what we perceive becomes what we believe, and it becomes our reality.
Yeah.
So if we believe something will not happen, or it's blocked, or whatever, this is a manifestation planet. We're going to make it come to fruition, right?
Yeah,
So
I
if
better
you
start
really
getting more
want that to
psychic.
work,
Yeah, I want it. I want those gifts. I think that I should be allowed to have some sort of perception that goes a little further
then
than what
tell
I have.
tell yourself every day,
Yeah.
my third eye is open. My
Oh, I'm
third
working on
eye
it.
is open.
I'm working on it. But I also heard too that um, it's a process, and when I'm ready and when it's supposed to happen, it will. Yeah, there is some
It
forms of.
it will, but that's the other thing I will add, and I'm it's just for what I say. I try not to tell people what is and what isn't.
Yeah,
You know yourself best. If
yeah,
you're connected with your guides like you feel you are, and your higher self, and the work that you're doing, which I believe is very healing and very intuitive, okay?
yeah,
Try to hear your higher self, if you will, or your guides, because you do meditation. Spirit will
yes,
hold classes with you. They will if you really so desire it. I believe this is a manifestation planet. Somebody has either thought of it or come up with it, anything that exists on this planet. And am I an expert at manifestation? Not quite yet, but I'm
yeah,
working on it. There's
yes,
no
yes,
limits.
yes,
Hmm.
yes. The spiritual work. You have to put in the spiritual work in order to manifest what needs to occur. So the spiritual
Hmm.
work is very
I was
important.
there at the beginning. I wanted to know, when was my third eye going to open? When is this all going to happen? When was it? And then when it finally kind of all clicked, I went, holy crap, I've been doing this for years. I just didn't know I was. So
Yeah,
again, not
yes.
everybody's the same, but
And then too, you have a responsibility. So you must have had a certain amount of experiences prior to the third eye opening, so that you could be responsible and feel like you're in control of what is occurring and what you can see and whatnot. I mean, I'm assuming that not everybody has the gift on purpose. Not everybody's allowed to have that gift.
I believe everybody does have the gift. It's just whether you become aware of it or you open it. Um, I'll try and remember. I'll send you a podcast I've done with Paul Anthony Wallace, and he used to be a pastor. I can't talk. He's got Fifth Kind TV. He's written 3 books. There's The Scars of Eden, Escape from Eden. I forget the third one. Someone in the chat will remind me. And we talk about this, about human being 1.0 versus 2.0. And then when somebody, say, goes into a coma or has a head injury or something, and all of a sudden they wake up like a prodigy, like they speak a
Yeah.
language they never spoke. That has
Yes.
to be somewhere in the brain. And we get into quite a
Yeah.
conversation about it. It's quite
Yes.
interesting. We
That's
are almost
amazing.
out of time. I loved having you on
Okay.
here, Liz. I'd love to have you back on sometime.
Yes, I'd love to come back. It was a very interesting conversation, and I'm really interested in what you have to say. I learned a lot as well.
I want to hear more about you too, because
Yes.
I want to hear more about your healing work. I want to hear about it all. So, and I'm sure so
Okay.
do our listeners. So, where can people get a hold of you? Where can they buy your book? Where can they reach out to
Okay.
you?
And thank you so much again for having me. It was such a joy. My website, you can find me at www.h as in healthy, f as in fashion campaign.com. And I have my social media icons on the top and footer of my website. And you can follow me on my social media. And I also have a book tab. If you press on the book tab, you can read all about the book, testimonials of the book, ways of purchasing the book, and most of the book is available in all large bookstores. You can order online and in stores, and Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and whatnot.
I
You'll
love
find the
it.
book. Yeah.
I love it. Well, I want to thank everybody that was here, just in case. Debbie Grassberger Schmoley, Dave Petrella. I want to send out some prayers and healing to a friend of the show, Zach, and his fiancee, Jamie. He had a big loss, and I'm thinking about them with the healing and sending love and light. Also, Safe travels to Jeff and Kate that just left our city today. I said I was going to give them a shout out. They were going to be listening. So glad you guys are listening. I want to also thank all of the listeners, whether you're listening live or listening on the replay. If you're not sure or you want to share this with somebody, you can find the replays on YouTube or anywhere where podcasts or talk radio are carried, such as iTunes, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Spotify, Spreaker, Podbean, just to name a few. If you ever want to get a hold of me, whether maybe you got a show idea, guest idea, you got a question, or maybe you want to book a reading or some healing sessions with me, you can get a hold of me on facebook.com/the Angel Rock. I also have two groups on Facebook, Paranormal University for all things paranormal, and the Angel Rocker Tribe for all things, like some of the things we talked about tonight, spirituality, esotericism, and things like that. Remember, folks, pass it along to all your folks. Doesn't matter where. I believe next week we're just going to have a hangout because of it being the holiday in the US and long weekend in Canada. So I want to hear your paranormal stories. I want to hear your stories of the strange. Maybe you've caught something that looks like a UFO. Maybe there's something unexplainable. Maybe you've got some questions. Maybe you've got some questions for spirits. We're going to hang out for 2 hours next week. I can't wait. I want to thank Alyssa again. And I send you guys so much love and light. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be. We'll see you next Monday. Thanks, everybody.